白俄罗斯共和国位于广袤的东欧平原，其境内矿产、淡水资源十分丰富，因其拥有上万湖泊，而被人们称之为万湖之国。白俄罗斯的地理位置同样优越，东部及北部地区与俄罗斯相邻，南部与乌克兰接壤，西部同波兰、立陶宛和拉脱维亚毗邻。这些优势为白俄罗斯经济的高速发展提供了充沛的动力。中国与白俄罗斯建交于1992年，至今是25周年。白俄罗斯总统卢卡申科曾说过：“我们是发自内心的为白中两国间的关系而骄傲，为有这样的伙伴而自豪。”那么，是什么样的历史渊源萌发出了中白之间的坚实友谊？又是怎样的互利合作推动着两国关系的不断发展？本期节目，我们将走进白俄罗斯，通过白俄罗斯驻华大使鲁德基利尔的讲述，去了解中白两国之间源远流长的邦交历史，领略“一带一路”倡议下两国的灿烂明天。白俄罗斯地处欧洲的中心地带，是连接东西欧的交通枢纽，风景秀丽，被誉为万湖之国。中白建交至今，尤其是近几年，越来越多的中国人了解白俄罗斯。随着两国贸易领域的不断拓展，来自白俄罗斯的优质产品越来越多地出现在人们的视线中。中国已经成为白俄罗斯在亚太地区最大的贸易伙伴，双边贸易额持续增长，在全球经济形势普遍下滑的背景下，仍然逆势上扬27.3%。当前，中国和白俄罗斯都处在发展的关键阶段。中国致力于实现2个100年奋斗目标，实现中华民族伟大复兴的中国梦。白俄罗斯同样在加快经济结构的调整和产业升级，为实现它的2030年经济社会发展战略目标而不懈努力。中白双方在此基础上对接战略构想，携手打造利益共同体，在共同圆梦的道路上奋力前行。
Exactly this year we celebrate 25th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Belarus and China. So as soon as Soviet Union broke up, China recognized the independence of the Republic of Belarus, and since then our relationship developing very fast and very deep. And by now we are now facing very high level of bilateral cooperation. And last year, in September 2016, two countries reached the highest level of bilateral cooperation. And now we're developing in strategic cooperation in all levels, in trade, in politics, in culture, in education, and so on. Our two leaders are meeting every year, sometimes twice or three times a year. So that means we keep very high level meetings and cooperation, and especially there was another breakthrough when Xi Jinping became the chairman of China. They became very close friends between President Lukashenko and the chairman Xi Jinping, and now it's this friendship spreads all over two countries, over nations, over people of two countries, and provides a good atmosphere for cooperation between the governments and personal relations of Belarusians and Chinese people. I believe right now China is a trade partner of the biggest trade partner of more than 100 countries. And even if they have a good cooperation, for example, good trade cooperation with the United States, so why we could also say that Silk Route could go to United States or to some Latin American states, go to Africa, to some other countries. So I believe the Silk Road idea, it's a good idea to inspire people for the trade cooperation and inspire not only in its traditional historical way, to go further. That's one thing. Another thing, China connects this Silk Road with another idea, is Chinese dream of reestablishing the pride of China, the power of China, and so on. But I believe that it should not be focusing only on China, and it cannot be only Chinese dream. Otherwise, other countries might, start worrying why it's only Chinese dream. It should be global dream. And right now we are confident, and we see that it's not only Chinese dream, it's a global dream. And these principles of decreasing of the inequality, of the improve the quality of life, to change from growth to development, all these principles could be shared by other countries as well as Belarus. And for example, China recently announced that they will change their economy strategy from the economic growth. It will not speed up and try to reach these double digits of the economic growth, and will focus more on the economic development. But Belarus started doing this maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and right now we have some transformation of our economy and have the low rates of the economic growth because we try to do that. So we are going in the same way and think alike. Sometimes China faster than we are, sometimes we start something earlier, but this way or another we're all facing the problem, we admit the problem, and we try to solve them. And this is what unites us, and this is what makes Silk Road, what makes China Dream global, international, and worldwide recognized by all the countries.
务实合作、互利共赢是中白关系友好发展的强大原动力。在经贸领域，中白积极挖掘合作潜力，互通有无，力求实现优势互补。中国从白俄罗斯进口农业生产所需的钾肥，白俄罗斯从中国进口人们生活所需品。除了农业生产所需的钾肥和人们日常的生活必需品之外，目前双方正积极推进机械制造、电信、热电站等方面的合作。白俄罗斯有句名言：“友谊和兄弟之情胜过所有的财富。”中国人民和白俄罗斯人民都上情重义，更有着在70年前世界反法西斯战争中建立的深厚联系。当时，中白两国人民同仇敌忾，并肩作战，为世界反法西斯战争的最后胜利做出了彪炳史册的伟大贡献。在明斯克的纳粹集中营里，新中国开国元勋朱德元帅的女儿朱敏曾同白俄罗斯小伙伴共抗德国法西斯。唐铎将军曾驾机参加解放明斯克的战役。苏联红军中，白俄罗斯籍将士曾远赴中国参与打击日本侵略者的重要战役。苏联英雄布拉格维申斯基空军中将、尼古拉延科空军中将、兹达诺维奇少将等，就是他们中的杰出代表。
If we look very deep back in the history, so it was mentioned by Chairman Xi on the One Belt, One Road opening forum this year in May. And he mentioned that a long time ago, when it was Silk Road, was originally this historical Silk Road, and China became open, and more silk was exported, and more tea was exported from China to Europe. But also there was a lot of goods that were imported from Europe to Belarus. So in linen was imported from Europe to Belarus, and this thing right now is one of the symbol of Belarus. So we can say that long time ago, many centuries ago, there was such kind of cooperation. And also Belarus has some common values with China in struggling in the Second World War. And it's also influence on our common understanding and support each other right now in all the initiatives that two countries has, either it's Silk Road or some other initiatives. And there were some Chinese who fight Germans, fight fascists in Second World War in Belarus. And there are also some Belarusians who were among Soviet soldiers who fight in China against Japan militaries. For example, in Wuhan, there is a Victory Park for the Soviet pilots who fights against Japan pilots, and the commander of the main pilot of Soviet pilots was from Belarus, from Brest, and he became not only the hero of the Soviet Union, also received the highest medal, the highest appreciation from the Chinese government. So that means this way or another, we have some connections in the different level between two countries. So it's kind of very, very harmonic when we see that China now reestablish its old connections and try to see the future in the past, looking back. So this is something that proves our long-term cooperation and long-term history of two countries. So it didn't start with the Silk Road 3 years ago, and it didn't start 25 years ago. It started a long time ago, and we see this kind of cooperation.
目前，白俄罗斯境内已开办了3所孔子学院，双方共同举办的文化日活动成为两国之间的文化盛事。去年，白俄罗斯切尔诺贝利核事故灾区的200名青少年赴中国疗养，同中国小朋友增进了相互了解，结下了深厚友谊。中白关系取得今天的成就，得益于双方始终以战略的长远角度看待两国关系发展，双方坚定支持彼此走符合自身国情的发展道路，在国际和地区事务中密切相互协作。
The more we not only think about it, the more we practice in this One Belt, One Road cooperation, we have the more opportunities. And it could be not only in trade, tourism, but also in culture as well. And there is some demand, and the Chinese culture is getting more and more popular all over the world. And the popularity of Chinese cuisine, of Chinese traditional medicine, and right now in Belarus, it's opened more and more Chinese restaurants from different provinces. Like recently, it was opened in Minsk. It was opened the restaurant of Chinese Lanzhou, Yintiao, Lanzhou noodles, and also we have the restaurant with a chef from Hunan province in Minsk. So different type, and more people would like to try it. Also, there is a big demand for Chinese traditional medicine, because it's a different way of treat yourself, a different way escaping the surgery, trying to treat yourself in the long term and to be more and more healthy. So we now open some centers for traditional medicine in Belarus as well. Right now there is more and more interest for Chinese language in Belarus, and we made a special program that studying Chinese language in schools, more and more lessons, so Chinese language could become probably the second foreign language in our country after English. language. And if you come to Belarus, so recently, like probably several weeks ago, we changed all the plates, all the signings, all the signs in our airport. Now it has 3 languages. It has Russian as one of our national languages. It has English and Chinese. And sometimes people, when they get to Minsk airport, they're just wondering where they are, in which country. But it's obvious because Chinese tourists everywhere, and Chinese language become more and more popular. And also we have a Confucius Institute, 3 Confucius Institute in Belarus, and 4 Confucius classes in Belarus. So it's just not. Sometimes, you see it's kind of fashion to learn more and more about China and Chinese language, but not only fashion, but it's also practical, and people connect their lives with China and see that it's a good investments by the end of the day, because if you invest in Chinese language or in, for example, Chinese yuan, 10 years ago, you'll get much more richer now and have more opportunities. One belt, one road, it's not only about trade. And it will be too narrow focus if we say that, let's only exchange goods and buy tea and sell milk between Belarus and China. Mostly it's exchange of ideas and exchange of impressions about 2 countries, to understand each other more, to grow up and brought up common values between 2 countries and between 2 regions, we can say, in a broader way. So in the prospects, we believe that a good opportunity is to open or to increase the cooperation in the tourist sphere. And right now a lot of Chinese tourists are going abroad, and I know that they all like to travel to kind of red tourism, to see communist monuments, some places where the revolution used to be in Russia, in the post-Soviet region. And Belarus is the final destination of the Soviet Union, because in our Belaverskaya Pushcha, not far from there was the signing of the agreement when the Soviet Union was broke up. So we believe it's a good opportunity for tourists. Starts in St. Petersburg, where the revolution started, and to finalize the route of the red tourism in Belaverskaya Pushcha when the Soviet Union broke up. Also, a lot of Chinese tourists would like to travel to Europe, so we are in a good geographical location for them on their route from China, Russia to Europe, to stay in Belarus for a couple of days and to get the personal impressions. So we believe this opportunity has a huge potential in the next year, and we are working very hard to increase the cooperation in the tourist field. Another opportunity in the long-term period, we believe in education, because Belarus is traditionally strong in its universities, and right now we have around 2,000 Chinese students who are studying in Belarus, and comparing to 800 Belarusians who study here in China. But we believe this number is too low. So in the future we also would work hard in cooperation in the education field. Also in humanitarian field, it's the third field where we have huge prospects of cooperation. Belarus also is famous for its health system. And if we compare, for example, in the rating of World Health Organization, Belarus is number 46, I believe. For example, there is a kind of indicator of the quality of the health system is how how many, when the lady give birth to a child, if she dies, so it's an indicator on the quality of the health system. So in Belarus, this indicator is one death for 100,000. So it's one of the lowest in the world. And when the World Health Organization representatives was in Belarus, they said we are the first time in the country where such a low rating, such a low indicator that indicates the quality of health system. So in this field, we right now, after the 19th party session, there was a kind of present from our president to Chinese people, and next year we will invite several groups of Chinese kids who has very hard diseases like maybe oncological disease and some other disease, and on our cost we will treat them and try to save their lives using our health system. So this is also kind of set field of cooperation that we should develop more strongly in the near future.
白俄罗斯在“一带一路”的建设上有着独特的优势，位于欧洲大陆的中心地带，地理优势突出，西连欧盟，东临欧亚经济联盟，南有黑海，北接波罗的海，交通和区位优势亦十分明显。白俄罗斯长期保持政治稳定、社会安宁，国民的文化教育素质水平较高，这些条件都为其与中国携手共建世界命运共同体夯下了坚实的基础。
And as the Silk Route goes from China to Europe, there is some issues in Europe because European railway companies, they cannot, overwork all the containers, the huge number of containers. And because there are a lot of companies, they try to compete with each other. And sometimes there is a big lines on the border with the European Union, and the speed of going these containers is decreasing. So it's a huge opportunity, and right now we're facing the demand from Chinese companies who want to open logistic parks and some logistics parks on the border between Belarus and European Union in order to serve this big supply of the containers. So this is the second big opportunities and advantage. And the third one is that Belarus has a big experience in cooperation with China in the investment projects. Like we already built some roads together, some power stations, some plants, and get to know each other very well and know our strong sides, our weak sides, so we can, add to each other some strong advantages. So it's a good opportunity for us to work together in the third countries. And right now China is going global more and more and have more projects in Eastern Europe, and sometimes the countries have some doubts about Chinese ability to do that. So we can work together with them and to prove that there's nothing to be afraid of, and we have a big experience. Definitely could be some challenges, but all of them could be overcome in the compromises and some discussions and friendly negotiations. So this is, I believe, three biggest issues that we are in our cooperation. Well, I can strongly confess that our cooperation, our strong cooperation and influence started before Silk Road era. And right now we are a good example for other countries that there is nothing to be afraid of in cooperation with China. And we're just lucky that when the Silk Road era started, that Silk Road went through Belarus. One big example that when Chairman Xi was in the position of vice president in 2010, he visited Belarus, and he proposed the idea to establish, to create China-Belarus Industrial Park, Great Stone. And right now, when in 2012 this idea of Silk Road appeared, our industrial park became the pearl of Silk Road. And we are all very proud, and right now we are facing the stage when a lot of companies registered in this industrial park, and it's not only Chinese companies but some European companies, some other Asian companies as well. So this is the first, the core project that can show the level of cooperation and level of cooperation in the era of Silk Road. The second example is that when this Silk Road started, so there became a lot of containers, a lot of railroads, containers that coming from China to Europe through Belarus. And right now we're witnessing more than 20 different railway routes that come in from China through Russia, through Kazakhstan, through Belarus to Europe. And these containers on the way back, in order not to leave them empty, so the companies would like to fulfill them with the goods. And because of sometimes also of this kind of political tension between Russia and Europe and sanctions between two countries, so not all European countries could fulfill these containers with the goods. So Belarus received a huge opportunity to expand its trade with China, and right now a lot of Belarusian milk, a lot of Belarusian juice, and right now we are working on opening the beef market and chicken market of China. So also candies, some Belarusian liquor. It all comes from Belarus to China using the Silk Route. So we can confess, and we can tell you the original issue that Belarus right now receives the advantages of Silk Route, because this is a two-way route, not only selling from China to Belarus, but also from Belarus to China.
中白关系具有高度互信、平等相待的基础，双方都恪守主权平等原则，认为国家不分大小、贫富和强弱都是国际社会的一员。尽管中白两国地理位置相距甚远，国情具有明显差异，但这并不妨碍相互的平等相交。相信在以往的合作基础上，中白关系必将更进一步，共创更加灿烂辉煌的明天。